kia ora, Sam here. I've got Hannah joining me today. We're going to take you through a rebuild focusing on glutes and a little bit of core as well. So we'll be getting into the legs. We're going to start standing up to begin with. So feet are going to come just a little bit wider than your hips here. We're going to just take a nice big roll of those shoulders back. So shrugging them up towards those ears, rolling them back in a nice big circle. Then we're going to set them down at our back, so really opening up that chest here. We're going to start with some slow squats. So I want you to press those hips back, coming into a squat nice and low, standing up nice and tall. We drop down again and press. I want you to think about keeping those knees in line with our second and third toes here. Starting off, setting those glutes up to get nice and warm. Beautiful. Seeing if we can take it a little bit lower this time. I want you to draw that focus into that core here. So we're going to think about drawing our belly button in towards our spine as we lower down and stand tall. Squeezing those glutes at the top. I'm going to go for 3 more. That's it, pressing a little bit lower. Last 2. Coming down now and holding here. We're going to pulse it out. Your options here is to bring those arms out in front of you, those fingers long, or you might want to bring those hands onto your hips. Staying nice and low, working in that lower range. We've got 5. Last 4, 3, 2, 1, press all the way up. Give those legs a little bit of a shake out. We're going to come back through those pulses one more time now. This time seeing if we can sink a little bit lower. It'll really get those glutes nice and warm. So when you're ready, squatting down nice and low. Setting everything up, making sure those knees are over those toes here, rolling those shoulders down away from our ears. Maybe this time you bring your hands out if they were on your hips, or maybe you take those fingers up towards the sky. When we're ready, we start to pulse, lift and drop. That's it. Trying not to drop our head down. We want to keep our neck nice and lifted. Beautiful. Sink a little bit lower. We've got 5. Last 4. 3. We're going to hold it. 1 and 2 and 1. Sink down nice and low. Press all the way up to stand. Shake it out a little bit. Last little bit of standing work before we come it down onto the mat. I want you to step to the end of our mats here. We're just going to add a little bit of movement to our squats. So sitting up, those feet are just going to be under our hips. We're going to bend into those knees. So pressing those hips back, roll those shoulders. So our spine stays nice and long here. Thinking about that belly button again, we're drawing it in towards that spine. Staying low here, we're going to start to sidestep towards the other end of our mat. So just however many steps that take, then tap, and then we go back. So the aim here is to stay low, really firing into those legs, focusing on those glutes here. We want them to be that main focus. Beautiful. We're going to walk all the way back here, sink a little bit lower. This time we're going to pause at this end. I want you to shift that weight into our right foot if you're with me, or whatever foot is on that outside here. Sinking a little bit lower, lifting that left heel. We're just going to tap out to the side. Bring it back in. Tap out and in, making sure those shoulders stay down away from those ears. Those hips are pressed back. I want you to think that there's a big hook coming into the back of that waistband, and it's bringing our hips up towards the sky as we press out and in. You've got 3, 2, 1. This time press out and hold that here. Finding imbalance, we're going to tap our toe up to the sky and drop it down. So just a little movement, tap up and drop. So we're really bringing that work into our right glute or our outside glute if you're on that opposite side. Beautiful. Last 3, 2, 1. Big lift, drop, and bring it in. You can stand, have a quick shake out. Then we're going to drop down into that squat and then step over to the other end of that mat, coming into that other side. So again, we shift that weight to the outside foot, stay low, reset, roll those shoulders back, draw that belly button in. We press our foot out and in. That's it. Out and in. Every time that leg goes out, we're making a nice long line. Maybe that toe points. We're just taking it out as far as possible. You can make this harder or easier by changing your height here. So if we drop down lower, it's going to bring more work into that outside glute. If we lift, it's going to ease off that pressure. You can focus a little bit more on that balance, so maybe focus on that core a bit. All right, last 3, 2, 1. This time pressing out and hold, coming into those lifts. We lift it up, drop it down. That's it, finding that balance, making sure we're pressing those hips back. Remember that hook is lifting up that waistband. We've got 5, 4, 3, lift a little bit higher, 2, and 1. Step that foot in, standing up, shaking out those legs. We're going to make our way down onto the mat here. So just stepping to the end of your mat, you're just going to roll yourselves down. Enjoy that little stretch up the back of those legs. We're going to walk ourselves down into a 4-point kneeling. So those shoulders are going to come over top of those hands, our hips over top of those knees. From here, we're going to untuck those toes so the tops of our feet rest against the mat here. Just going to move through a couple of cat-cow to get that spine a little bit warm. So when you're ready, lifting that t-shirt up away from the mat, rounding your back, eyes will look towards your knees, and then reverse it. So drop that belly button down, eyes look up towards the ceiling. We go again, maybe pressing a little bit further. And dropping that belly button down. One more time here. And then we're just going to find a position in between here. If this gets too much for those wrists at all throughout this next phase, then you can come down onto those forearms to give them a break. Or if you prefer to come down onto your forearms now, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise, we're going to set up that 4-point kneeling. So making sure that our hips stay nice and level through this move, which means our nose, our belly button, and our pubis bone are going to stay in a nice midline, running through. That is going to center in those knees as well. So we want to lock that position in, making sure we're not shifting side to side with those hips. We're going to be moving through our right leg here. So to start us off, we're just going to slide our right toes away along that mat, pointing them out, lifting them up so you're nice, making a nice long line here, tapping that toe down, bending that knee in. Coming through that other leg so that weight shifts, but that center stays in that midline. So we reach our left toes long, lift them up, point them away, drop them down, slide them back. If this is enough for you today, you can keep moving here. Otherwise, we're going to go straight into a leg extension. So rather than sliding those toes, we're just lifting them out, extending them behind us. That's it. Thinking about lifting that chest up away from the mat. We want to keep that spine nice and flat. I'm going to go one more time on each side here. Really reaching those toes back behind you. And then placing them down. All right, staying in this position here, we're going to just isolate through that right glute this time. Flexing those toes, we're going to press our heel up towards the ceiling, keeping that knee bent. Bringing that knee back down in line with the other. We press it up. So the sole of your foot is pressing up towards that ceiling. We drop it down. Pressing a little bit higher with each move. And down, that's it. Really lifting up. So that focus here is on control. I really want you to feel that glute squeezing as you lift that sole towards the ceiling and releasing as you bring it back down. Remembering to keep that midline nice and center. You want to imagine that there's a wall on the outside here so that you can't lean over into it. So we want to keep everything nice and centered. We are going for 3 more here, and then we're going to come into some pulses. In 2, in 1. This time kicking that right foot back, we hold. Press it up a little bit higher. We drop it down an inch and press. Down and press. Each time we press it up, we're reaching that heel up a little bit further. That's it. Last 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to press up and hold in 1. Press up, lift. Really press down through those palms. Recenter. Lift that heel a little bit higher. We're holding for 3, 2, 1. Drop that knee down, but don't let it touch the ground. We want to keep it hovered so it's in line with that knee. Opening it out to the side this time, just as far as possible, and dropping it down. So we're opening it out, dropping it down. This is where that core really starts to work to support this move here. You'll feel it working as we open out to the side. You may want to lean into that left hip. I really want you to stay focused on that midline, really evenly distributing that weight through as we open that knee out and drop. Maybe we can lift it a little bit higher with each rep. Last 3, 2, opening it up this time now and holding, finding those pulses in that end range. Let's go. Pulse it up and down. That's it. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, lifting up and hold. We've got 3, 2, 1, and release. Sitting back into those heels, opening those knees a little bit wider, reaching those hands long, finding that child's pose stretch. We're just going to be here for a moment before coming into that other side. All right, coming up. We're going to move into that other side now, working through that left glute. So setting up again, remembering if it gets too much for our wrists, you can come down onto those forearms here. So starting off, we are going to flex those left toes underneath, coming straight into our soles up to the ceiling. So we're going to press those soles back and then drop those knees in line with each other. We press and drop, thinking about that belly button. It's drawing up towards that spine to keep that core engaged. It's going to help us stay stable as we isolate through this left glute. Thinking about that wall that is next to our right hip this time. We want to make sure that we're not leaning into that right hip. We want to stay in that center line. Each time we press that heel up, we press a little bit more. Really feel that glute contracting as we press up, squeezing a little tighter and releasing as we control that movement down. We are here for 5 more, then we're coming into those pulses. In 3, 2, 1, pressing back this time we hold, lifting a little bit higher. From here we drop down an inch and lift, down and lift, that's it. Each time we press up, we press a little bit more, making sure that right hip isn't taking all that weight. Stay pressed. Our nose, our belly button, our pubis bone is all in that midline between those knees. Right, we're here for 5. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Press up and hold a little bit higher. Press it all the way up and drop that knee down without letting it touch the ground. If you need to take a break, you can find that child's pose. Otherwise, we are coming straight into our next move. Recentering off, we're going to open our left knee out to the side and drop it down. We open and drop. Each time opening a little bit further, Really making sure we're staying pressed over slightly into that left side to make sure that right leg isn't taking all that weight. Centering everything off. We've got 3, 2. Last one here, we lift and we hold, finding those pulses. Really opening it up, working within that range. Beautiful. You can keep moving through that full movement here if pulses aren't for you today, but we're here for 3. Last 2. Opening up here and holding. Last 3 seconds, breathing through it, and release. We are going to come up to kneeling, turning over so we are seated, giving those glutes a break while we come into our core to finish off our rebuild class today. So we just want you to plant those feet down onto the mat here. Give those shoulders a little bit of a roll. You can hold onto the backs of your legs here to help us roll down. Otherwise, if you want to get into that core straight away, we reach those fingers long. We're going to start to tuck our tailbone under, start to slowly roll ourselves down one bit at a time, nice and controlled, until we come to lying all the way on our backs. Just taking a moment to settle in here, taking a breath. We're just going to walk our feet slightly closer to us. The soles of our feet are going to stay pressed to the ground here. We're going to interlace our fingers behind our head, just in a way that is comfortable for you, and we're going to let our head get nice and heavy. Our elbows are going to come into the outside of our vision, so into the peripheral vision here. From here, I'm going to take a big breath in to prepare. As we exhale, you're going to tuck that chin, start to lift that head, lift that chest. Our eyes are going to look towards our knees, holding for a moment, and then curling down. Big inhale to curl down. Exhale as we lift, and then dropping our head. Remembering if it doesn't feel right to move with our breath like this, as long as we're breathing, that's all that matters. And drop. Every time we curl up, checking in with our stomachs here, we want to make sure we're avoiding that triangle doming position to strengthen our core here. So really focus on wrapping our abdominals around as we curl and lower. Just moving at a pace which feels right for you today. Crinkling that t-shirt up. Seeing if we can lift a little bit higher each time. We're going to add on a rotation. The next time you lift up, we're going to start to reach our left hand towards our right knee. Replacing that hand behind our head as we curl down, repeating with the opposite side, right hand to left knee. And release. Seeing if we can add on a little bit more twist, starting to open that chest out towards that side a little bit more. I'm going to go for one more each side here. Last time, reaching that right hand to that left knee, all the way up, finding that twist, and releasing all the way down. You can place those hands down by your pockets here. Again, we're going to step those heels so they're a little bit closer to our hips. Finishing off with some glute work again. We're still working into that core here, so we're going to hit it with a double combo to finish us off. We are going to press down into our heels, starting to tuck that tailbone under, pressing our waistband up towards the ceiling. You'll feel that work come into our glutes. So you may feel it start to come more into those hamstrings here, but I want you to focus on squeezing those glutes to lift our hips a little bit higher. Again, drawing that belly button towards that spine to make sure everything is working here. Then we're going to roll ourselves back down, mounting those ribs, releasing at the bottom. We go again. We're pressing all the way up. Coming into some pulses here. So we're just going to drop our hips slightly, lift them. Drop and lift. Really thinking about squeezing those glutes. Perfect. Sending those knees away from us here. So every time we press up, we're lengthening the front of those legs. For extra challenge here, you can float those fingertips up towards the sky, lengthening those arms, adding on a reach. We're here for 8, pressing a little bit higher. That's it. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press up and hold. Really press down through those heels. Squeeze those glutes. Send those knees long. We are holding for 5. Remembering to breathe. The last 3, 2, 1. Curl all the way down. Release those palms. Hug those knees into our chest. Take a little rock side to side. And then you can just roll onto our side. Send that arm long above us and press up to a seated position. And that is the end of our 20-minute rebuild focusing on glutes and core. Hopefully you enjoyed that. You felt it a little bit in those glutes. Let us know what you thought below. Otherwise, we will see you in the next class.